Okay, so context setting. Welcome back, everyone. We are in our third call of the most amazing values-based life virtual workshop ever. And I'm serious about that. Like, you guys have been amazing. Like, I've had so much fun interacting with you, especially in between the calls. And I have like a special thing I'm going to do because of that. But you have to wait. You have to stay on to the end of the call to get the bonus that we're going to talk. No, it's kind of like that, but not really. Um, so what I wanted to do to start today, so quick review. In our first call, we did kind of an overview. We talked about the importance of values, and mostly we did the discovery of our highest priorities. And then last week in our second call, we reflected back on that. And then we also did the discovery of our ways of being and looked at the difference between priorities and ways of being. And you guys have been great about sharing your lists, and hopefully the feedback that you've been getting has been helpful to just keep this process of not just discovering, but clarifying, like continuing to reflect and consider what you might want to change and what would work even better for you and what language really resonates with you and things like that. So the main purpose of today's call we're going to get to is looking at, okay, we have these two lists now. Like, how do we apply that? But before we do that, I want to reflect back again. And in particular, I'm going to put you in groups so you all get a chance to share. And I want you to share with each other, like, what have you been noticing? So I would imagine as you do this work and you're making these lists and you're asking yourself these questions and you're revisiting and you're in this clarification process, what I notice when I do that is it starts to affect things like my decision making and just my general awareness of the influences that are trying to pull me or push me in one direction or another. So I want to give you, I'm going to give you 6 minutes, probably a little bit more than 6 minutes, because there'll be like transfer from one person to another. And if you're in a group of two, that'll mean 3 minutes each. If you're in a group of three, that'll mean 2 minutes each. And I'll send some time updates through. But just share with each other, like, over this period of time, we've been together for really 3 weeks now. And what have you been noticing as you're in this conversation and looking at your highest priorities and the ways of being that are most aspirational to you? Just what are you noticing? And that can be whatever you want it to be. But I do want to start with those breakouts because it gives everyone a chance to share. And with even with 90 minutes, it's tough to fit the time in to be able to do that. So in order to do that, I need to go to breakout rooms and 3 rooms. You'll put, I have no control over who's going into what room. It's always an adventure, but what I know is you'll be with the perfect person or persons. So let me get my timer ready to go here. All right, so 6 minutes. And again, I'll let you know at 2 for my group of 3. You'll be switching then at 3. My groups of 2 will be switching then at 4. Your group of 3 will switch again. And just share with each other. What have you been noticing over these last few weeks as we do this work? All right. And your room should be open.
minutes? I think it's, yeah, 40 minutes? Oh my gosh. Okay. Let me go ahead and throw it. You throw it right there. Can you, oh, that's okay. Let me just. Yeah. Go ahead. You put that on. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Was that 6 minutes?
That was 6 minutes.
Wow, that was
It-
fast.
It goes by fast. Yeah, it's like there's two different types of time in breakout rooms. Like when you're in the breakout room, it goes so fast, and when you're sitting here watching the clock and just by yourself, like it takes talk. It goes really slow.
I'm glad you're back.
So yeah, and I wish, I wish there was more time, but again, like just look, I actually thought today was going to be the one. We got time to do the quirks. It's going to be easy. And then I map it all out and I go, oh no, like we got to hustle to get through all the stuff we want to do. So, so let me hear from a couple of you. Like what are some of kind of the highlights of what you talked about? What kinds of things are people noticing as we do this work? Oh, we lost someone in the process too.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think she got lost.
She was
I
like,
mean,
she was like
seriously.
getting on a bus or something. She was the first one to
Yes.
get back into the
Yes.
room and like, anyway, she'll be back probably.
Button.
But what kinds of things did people notice? I heard
So
somebody
I'll
inhale.
go.
Somebody inhaled like they were going to say something.
I'll go.
Okay, Susan, let us have it.
One of the things I realize is that what's important steps in front.
Ah, so it becomes more noticeable. Yeah.
Yes, it
Yeah,
really does.
It's amazing how our
And-
minds work when we're looking for something. We start seeing it like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we had one person immediately she was dealing with, and one person who was dealing with the things that was going on right now, and me, I'm going like everything takes my focus versus the things I want,
Okay. All right. What else have people been noticing?
Differences between priorities and being, which is your innovation on this. It was really helpful, your comments on after the last two sessions. And also what came up for me was how super important doing art and my art is now, because at different times in my life it was totally subsumed into other things.
Okay.
Large stretches of my life I didn't do art, and yet I always still considered myself to be an artist. I just wasn't what I would say is I'm an artist, I'm just not practicing.
Okay. It's
super important for me to be and do as an artist now.
Okay. So it's kind of shining a brighter light on that as a priority for you. Okay.
And both in being and priorities.
Yeah. Yeah.
Both of them is on the top.
Okay. Good. Couple more.
I was just gonna share. I agree that outlining them so specifically and then becoming aware of it in the moment has felt really nice, to just sort of feel like I'm following and I'm connected to what I think I value at this stage of my life. And that feels good. So it's been nice. And I've been saying yes more to try to embrace some of those values.
So saying yes to the things that are most important to you.
Yeah.
Good. That's actually usually the second step in the process, because the first step is usually saying no to the things that were not important to us, right? Like what's
I think I've done some of that. So I think
Okay.
I'm ready for the next step.
Okay, good. Awesome. One more?
I find myself listening to different kinds of music, and like like from Gregorian chants to mantras to Spanish music, just to see the kinds of things I remember from different parts of my life. and just to enjoy the feeling, the different feelings that I experienced as a way of not putting full time on my work as I've done in my past career. And sort of balancing, just to open up that link with the heart and mind. And I've been just overjoyed at the process because
Okay.
it's brought me more into my body and more into my being.
Was the music itself one of the things that showed up as something that's really important to you, or is the music more of a mechanism to connect to what's most
A
important to you?
mechanism,
A
a
mechanism.
mechanism.
Good.
Because afterwards I read in more about it and then came into the roots of the Gregorian chants and those kinds of things. And of course we know about the mantras more, at least I do.
Mhm.
And yeah, so it was a mechanism. But somewhere in my being, I remembered something about it.
Good. Yeah. And again, when we kind of create space for that, I love that word remembering, like it's there. We
Mhm.
get so busy and we have all these demands on our time and attention. When we start just focusing in on what's really important to it, it does open up space for different
Mhm.
levels of awareness and choices of what to focus on. So awesome. Great stuff. Okay. So today's call is mostly about taking these lists that we've created, and you can tell, right? Like the clarification journey is not complete on the beginning of call 3. Like this is an ongoing thing. It's very much a journey versus a destination. And so having these lists and continuing to clarify them is great and important and valuable, but really like the commitment, my personal commitment and the commitment that's in my little organization with the people that I'm working with, that our commitment is to doing this in a way that it's applicable and implementable and makes a very real difference in our lives. So so that's what we want to talk about today. And we're going to use a model that I call the 4 A's as a strategy to take this information that we've gathered in the structure that we've gathered it. And Caroline, was it you who was talking about like the power of the 2 different categories?
Yeah.
So this is what happened to me personally. I think I shared that story with you. Like, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago, values were so confusing to me. I knew they were important, but they were so confusing. I couldn't get them to a point where they were really useful. Oops, is that me making that noise? I don't know. So this is one of those 3 original pieces of content that I was talking about, like dividing them into 2 categories, simplified it for me and made it very actionable. Like I can go through my life at any moment, I can pause and I can check in and say, am I focusing my time and attention on the things that are most important to me? Because I have that list, and I keep it close at hand. And am I showing up in the world in the way that I really have said that I want to show up? Because I've got that list too. And there's a very specific way that I encourage people to do that. And I call it the 4 A's, not because it was designed that way, but because it just turned out that way. I have a former business partner who couldn't do anything until he came up with an acronym for it. And it was always like, okay, screw the acronym. Like, we need to do this. Like, it's important. This one just kind of showed up as a kind of an acronym to begin with. So just like we did on the first 2 calls, where we went through a process of discovery for our priorities and a process of discovery for ways of being, today we're going to do a process about implementation. And it's a duplicatable process. We can literally do it anytime we want. We can pause and get into action, like do actual implementation of this information to improve, to make our lives better. And the other good thing about these lists you have is you now have criteria for how to measure, like, is your life better? Because you can say, like, if I'm putting more time and attention and creating more of the results and experiences I want in the areas of my priorities, I call that better, right? Like in my life, that means things are getting better. And same thing with ways of being. Like, am I really showing up in the world the way I want to? Yes, then my life is getting better. So we're going to start. Does everyone have your list of priorities close at hand or accessible? Yes. Okay, because we're going to start this process by looking at our list of somewhere with this group, it's somewhere between 5 and 9 highest priorities. And that's fine. That's again, that's totally normal at this point in the conversation. And what I'm going to ask you to do, first of all, the first A is what we call assess. So I'm going to ask you to look at your highest priorities on a scale of 1 to 5, give yourself a score on how you think you're doing now in that area of your life. So a number 1 would be a low score, like things in that area are not the way you want them to be. If it's relationships, your relationships are not the way you want them to be, the communication is not there, you're not collaborating, whatever, like that would be a 1. And if your relationship is exactly the way you want it to be and it's ideal and it's better than you ever could have hoped, that would be a 5. And the same thing with each of your priorities. So I'll give you a couple of minutes and just go through your priorities. And at this time, give yourself a score between 1 and 5 for how you feel like you're doing now. This is very subjective. You can absolutely use decimal points if you feel compelled, but a score of 1 to 5 on your highest priorities.
Each one of them.
Each
ranked
one of them.
1 to
Yes.
5. 5 being high. Yeah.
Yes. 5 is the best. Don't overthink it. You can change these scores later.
Just doing priorities or the being as
We're
well?
just doing the priorities for now. Everyone got your scores? Yes? Do we need a few seconds extra? We all good? Susan's in the dark. I can't tell if she's done or not. Everybody got your scores? Yes? Okay. All right. So now we have 2 data points to do the next step, because when I had you do this list of your highest priorities, the final step of that process was putting them in order, right? So you put them in hierarchical order from 1 to 5 or 9. And now you have a score for how you're doing now. And the second A that we're going to look at is what I call area, the area of your life. So you're going to have like a hierarchy point for each area, and you're also going to have this score. And what I'm going to ask you to do is based on those 2 data points. And for some people, this will be super easy. Like if your highest priority things are terrible, it'll be pretty easy to just pick that as the one to focus on. But for a lot of us, like for me, I'll just give you an example. I've talked about how my relationship with my children is my highest priority. And if I were to give myself a score, it would be like a 4.5. I should probably check with them, make sure. But, you know, they were just here for this wedding. It was great to see them. We had this great rapport. Everyone gets along. So I give myself a really high score on my highest priority. My second highest priority is contribution. And this work that I'm doing here, and I'm heavily involved in a social justice project right now. So I feel like I'm doing pretty well. Like I give myself a pretty high score in the area of contribution. And it's really not until I get down to my number 4 priority, which is career and work and financial, that kind of area, where I would give myself a lower score. I feel like there's a lot more potential. I could be doing more. I could be playing bigger and things like that. So that's the one based on the priority, like the hierarchy and the scores that I'm giving myself for how things are going, that I get all the way down to number 4 before I kind of say, okay, this is the one that I want to focus on. But so it might be super easy. It might be super obvious. It might be kind of a balance because, you know, how is it going and what's most important may not line up really well. But what I'm going to ask you to do in this area called area is pick one area to focus on. Now, this doesn't mean you're not going to put any time and attention into the other things, but for the purpose of this exercise, we're kind of imagining that we have some extra time and attention. We've said no to some other things or whatever it is, and we have some time and attention. We're trying to decide like where to put it, like where do I want to focus to really make a positive change in my life. So you're going to pick an area to focus on using those 2 data points of the hierarchy and the scores you just gave yourself. So scan your list. Should just take like a minute to do. Scan your list, and you can either highlight or put a star next to something or circle it or whatever you want to do. But pick one area, pick one of your priorities that you're going to choose to focus on. All right? Pick one. I'm hearing Jeopardy music in my head.
I'm sorry, pick one and do what? with
Pick
it?
one area that you're going to focus on. So the next step in this process is going to be, okay, we've got this time and attention. We're going to put it in that area. Like, which area are we going to focus on? Make sense?
Yeah, that's already done.
You made me give away my next step for nothing? Everybody got one? Easy choice or difficult?
Easy.
Easy? Anybody feeling like there's 2 that I want to do? I don't want to have to pick one. Yeah. Okay. So the truth is you can pick 2, but for the purpose of like really making a bigger impact, if we can narrow it down to 1 and really focus some time and attention there, we can generally make a bigger impact. Especially when we have real urgency in some of these areas. Like sometimes it feels like you can't not choose some of these things. But so Stacy, do you feel like choosing 2 is the best strategy for you, or can you flip a coin and just pick one, or what? Wow, I've got 2 hummingbirds battling for the hummingbird feeder
You're on
right
mute.
outside my window.
Stacy, you're on mute.
Okay. Picking one would probably be better for me, but I feel like I need to keep plugging away with 2.
Okay.
So
So you could, so you're the one person on this call who may or may, do you know who Janet Atwood is?
not very well, but
Okay.
a little-
So everyone else on the calls knows Janet Atwood because Janet Atwood is like best friends with Deborah Poneman, who hosted the webinar where these guys all joined this class from.
Okay.
So the reason I'm bringing Janet up is because she wrote a book called The Passion Test.
Mm.
And the passion test works with a really powerful process when you're in a situation like this, where you look at kind of a binary choice and you say, well, if I could have option A, but it meant I couldn't have option B, or if I could have option B, but it meant I couldn't have option A, which one would I pick? And you can almost always pick one. And the truth is, in this particular case, we don't really have to do that. But to prioritize our list or to just pick one for the sake of this exercise, it does usually make it pretty clear, like which one we would pick. And again, going back to my list, the fact that I picked my business and my career and financial success as the one I'm going to focus on does not mean I'm not going to speak to my kids. It means I'm going to continue to do the things that I've always done with my kids so those relationships stay really good and I continue to contribute and I continue to take care of my health and well-being. But again, like if I'm taking extra time and focus like that, that's the area I'd really like to change some things, to make some things different, put extra time and attention on. So it sounds like from the way you answered it, like for the purpose of the exercise, you can pick one. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else who's kind of stuck on that, or we all have an area? Okay, good. So I've done our assessment. We've picked an area to focus on. And now we're going to do the third A is called action. And what I'm going to ask you to do, and I'll give you a couple of minutes to do this, is to just take like a blank sheet of paper, or you can do this in your computer or your phone, whatever you're using to take notes. But I want you to just brainstorm, just like we did with priorities and ways of being, no judgment, no like, oh, that's a good idea or a bad idea, or that's not good enough, or I need to do more, or whatever. Just brainstorm in 2.5 minutes I'll give you. Capture as many ideas as you possibly can of things that you could do to improve that area. So like for me in career and business, like I want to get on podcasts, and I want to actually hire someone to work on marketing with me. And I want to create some sort of like free gift that I can offer to people to get them involved in this conversation. I'm just going to brainstorm ideas, like all the things I could possibly do. Just capture as many as you possibly can in 2.5 minutes. Actions you could take to improve, to create positive results in that area you chose. Go. See, we have some Janet Atwood marketing reps on the call. They're typing into the chat here. I do not know Humanity Stream.
Deborah Poneman's on the platform, and now Ken Honda's got a program on it, and there's something like a competitor to
You're
mine.
supposed to be making a list. Be quiet. One more minute. Actually, like 30 seconds, but almost a minute. You can get 3 more actions you could take that would make a difference in that area you picked. Sometimes they start with get my husband to. Okay, so that's 2.5 minutes. So if you're able to type into the chat, how many actions are on your list? Like count them up. How many did you write down? In 2.5 minutes, how many did you put down? We're going to have a
4.
4. All right. 12. Wow. Stacy's on fire. Overachiever. 15. Oh my God. I could finish on time. I don't need to give you guys so much time. 15 in 2.5 minutes. That's pretty impressive. 9. But there are multiple things in one. Okay. All right. You're going to have a head start on the next step of the process. 12, 15, 9, 10. Okay, good. Good. 3. right? So it's going to be easier for Maricela than anybody else to do the next step. And the next step is called, I'm already doing a lot of these things. Okay. And we can do more of them. So you can be picking what you're going to do, or you can pick what you're going to do more of. Yeah, Maricela, I saw like when you were coming back in the room and I saw like you're like on a bus or whatever you're doing. I admire your commitment to be here with us. And you may be like going back and listening to the recording that you all reminded me to start.
I'm gonna have
now
to.
she's on the mood. Now she's on the move.
I'm gonna have to. Oh my gosh, I do feel bad because
No, she's demonstrating her
Penny.
commitment, right? Like she's here. This is awesome. She's out running around town trying to find wine corks. I think that's what she's really doing.
Oh, they didn't tell you.
Look at her. She got them. Unbelievable.
I called different places. And then finally, because I'm without a car right now, long story short, I'm without a car and I got
Wow.
lost. And I was trying to get there on time, but then I got both places. I got the bus stop late and I got the call 1 minute late. I'm like, but anyhow.
I'm completely impressed. Like the level of commitment. So my friend Scott, who I was telling you about, he taught me about commitment and what commitment really means, and the difference between like a commitment and a goal or an intention or a dream or a vision, whatever. The difference with commitment is action. Like you always know what people are committed to because you can look at what they're doing. Like Maricela is committed to this conversation. She's committed to this group. She's committed to doing this work because look at the hoops she's jumping through just to be here today. Like, so
I came
again,
close.
yeah,
I came close too. And I was like, I'm not, and I said, I can't let the team down. And I was like, and then when I got over there and I got the corks.
Look at that. And she's got Carl's Jr. in the background. I know she didn't get wine corks at Carl's Jr.
No, I ended up getting from that Italian place that gave me the corks. I thought that the least I could do is, buy something from there.
Okay.
And they were really nice too.
All right. Well, it's going to be totally worth it. I promise you. All right. So the last part, so we've done assessment, we've picked an area, we've made this list of all the, or not all, but some, like 2.5 minutes worth of some actions that we could take. And what I'm going to ask you to do now is I'm going to ask you to pick one of those actions, and Maricela set us up for this perfect. Like pick one of those actions that you are committed to taking, or part of one of those actions. It could be just a piece of it that you are committed to taking by the end of the day on Sunday of this week. So today's Wednesday, really gives you 4 days. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. One of those actions that you are committed to taking at least part of, like some step, your action could be writing a book and whatever, writing 10 pages could be the part that you're committed to by Sunday, but some action that you are committed to take. And just so you know, like where we're going with this, I'm going to ask you to send me, just me, I'm not going to share it with anybody else, just send me what your commitment is. And then on Sunday, I'm going to ask you to send me another message telling me how it went. And it's, again, it's very simple. It's like you said you're going to do it, and then you either do it or you don't, right? But we're going to play a little game around the 4th A, which is accountability, right? So we're going to build a little bit of accountability into it. So I'll shut up for a minute and let you decide which action you are committed to take, or just part of it. Ooh, Caroline's got a good one. Everybody got one? So an action that you can commit to take, all or part of, by the end of the day on Sunday, right? Everybody got one? All right. So I told you like the 4th A is about accountability. and I'm building a little bit of accountability in, because I'm asking you, you know, we've gotten pretty close here. We built this rapport, and as your partner in crime on all this, like, I'm asking you to send me what your commitment is, and I'm letting you know that I'm going to circle back. Like, you're going to get an email from me on Sunday saying, don't forget to let me know by the end of the day today how it went with your commitment to do XYZ, right? And as human beings, most of us are more likely to do something we say we're going to do if we tell someone that we like and respect that we're going to do it, and we know they're going to check back and ask us whether we did, right? Like, you know, if you're working on your health and fitness and you tell your friend you're going to meet him at the gym tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, you're a lot more likely when your alarm goes off to actually get out of bed instead of, I heard a comedian years ago who told me, as human beings, our rationalization skills are at their very sharpest when we first wake up in the morning. Did you know that? Like, we can rationalize anything in that moment, right? Like, we don't want to get out of bed, the snooze alarm effect or whatever. But we're going to have a little accountability built in here. And it isn't to make anyone wrong or like check up on you or like bring you back to your relationship with your mother when you were 6 years old and she caught you with your hand in the cookie jar, whatever. It's to create an actual mechanism that in reality makes it more likely that we will do what we said we were going to do, especially if it's something new, if it's something uncomfortable, if it's something we have some resistance. Something about knowing that someone's going to be checking back and seeing if you did it is more motivating than just on our own saying we're going to do it and putting it on a list or whatever. All right. So, and I'm going to give you, as part of this 4A's process, I'm going to give anyone who wants to the opportunity to share what their commitment is with the whole group. So is there anyone who, in addition to having me looking over your shoulder and hounding you and checking up on you and sending you an extra message on Sunday and then whatever, is there anyone who would like to share their commitment with the whole group? Caroline.
Okay, because I'm already doing this, but this gives me even more impetus to do it. And that is to put at least one project in the kiln by Sunday for the show, the ACGA show, July 13th and 14th. I need to get several more pieces done. And so I want to do at least one, preferably two, in the kiln by Sunday, because the kiln schedule is
Okay.
like 16 hours.
Okay, so are these projects that are in progress already and you want to get at least one of them all the way to the finish line in the kiln?
I have the components and everything. It's a matter of taking the time to assemble them. I've got the kiln shelves already ready.
Okay.
Get it in and start it.
Okay. And I love what you did where you said you picked one, right? Like, you heard what I was saying about a part of this, right? And you also slipped in there, like, it would be even better if it's two, but the commitment is one.
Is one.
Right.
Yeah, I don't want to,
yeah.
Otherwise I'm getting like,
Yeah. And there's such wisdom in that, because this is one of the things we do. We say, oh, I'm going to get 10 pieces in the kiln by the end of the week. And then it gets to be Saturday and you have nothing in there yet. And you're like, there's no way I can get 10 pieces. And then you just give up. But if you have, like, the fact that you committed to one, in my experience, incrementally increases, not incrementally, that's totally the wrong word. Like, what's the opposite of incrementally? Like, in a big way, increases the likelihood that you're going to get two. So if you commit to two, you reduce the likelihood of even getting one. But if you commit to one, you increase the likelihood of getting two.
Also, if you make it a reasonably doable goal, then you have you have more confidence that you can get it done. And then you're not stressed.
And then you get some momentum, right? So I learned a goal setting technique years ago from a guy named Raymond Aaron. I met him. He's from Canada. I met him through this Transformational Leadership Council group and Jack Canfield. And he teaches a goal setting technique, which I use all the time. I used to use it when I was coaching kids in youth sports, and it was amazing. But it's called Minimum Target Outrageous, MTO. And he says when you're setting an important goal, you should set it in 3 levels. You should set a minimum goal. So Caroline's goal is perfect, like minimum. One. I'm going to get one piece in the kiln. I know I can do that. You can hear it in her voice. She's totally confident. She knows she can do that. But she's also, did you hear? She kind of slipped in the target goal, right? Like two or three would be like a target. That would be like where we would normally set our goal. And outrageous would be like over the top. Like if I did that, it would just be like amazing. Like what if you got 10 pieces in the kiln? You just got on a roll and you got 10 pieces in there. That would be like
The
outrageous.
timing doesn't work, but if
Yeah, but I'm
would
just
be great
making
to
up the
do.
numbers, but whatever. But you can set a goal that way and set the minimum, just like Caroline did. Like, I know I can do this. And it gets you in momentum. Like you get going. Like when people write books, you sit down, you say, okay, I'm going to write for 20 minutes today. I'm going to start the timer. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to turn everything off. I'm going to write for 20 minutes. That's my goal, minimum. And then once you start writing, you get on a roll. Next thing you know, you wrote for like 2 hours, which is probably more than your target goal, right? But minimum target, outrageous. All right. So at least one in the kiln. Anyone else who wants to share with the whole group? Heck no. Stacy's making a face. I don't know. Just sharing with you, sharing with me, minimum, sharing with the whole group, outrageous, right?
I don't want to take up all the time. I want other people to share. I'm happy to go if nobody else wants
Do you want to share yours?
Sure.
Okay.
It's pretty easy. Some form of exercise. Of course, I picked 3, but I'm going to start with 1. The easy one is walking, but weights and yoga. So, yeah, I don't know
Okay.
if I'm
So
clear.
so how do we measure that between now and Sunday? Is that like at least one time doing one of those, or?
Yeah, at least one, but like.
Okay, so that would be a great example again of a minimum, right? Like you totally know you can do that. You can go for a walk sometime between now and Sunday. That doesn't mean you're not going to have to like look at your schedule and figure out when and juggle other things, but you can do that. What would you say would be the target with that? Like how many times would you like to exercise between now and the end of the day on Sunday? So again, over 4 days.
Yeah, 2 would be the
2 would
target.
be the target.
3 would be more ideal. Yeah.
Okay, so 2 to 3 is like your target, and outrageous would be every day, twice a day, maybe. But
Yeah.
okay, all right, good. But a minimum would be between now and Sunday at least once.
Oh yeah.
Walk, yoga. What was the third one?
Weights.
Weights. Okay. And
Get
you can
really-
double up. You can do combining like we did with our lists, right? Like you can be walking and lifting weights.
There's a theme there.
Okay.
It just
All right. Anybody else want to share theirs with the whole group?
I will.
Okay, Susan, go ahead.
So I want to start a Vietnamese coaching program, and my first goal is to actually put it on video. My target would be to get it ready to go. My outrageous would be like online and moving.
Okay, so that sounds like a lot between now and Sunday. Is there like what piece of that would you be able to commit to having done?
The first part, just the first. So the first part would be loving yourself.
Okay, so
that
creating
would
a
be my number
video,
one.
creating a video around loving yourself.
Yes.
Okay, and I would even like as your accountability partner who is committed to your success, I would encourage you to even take that to the level of creating the first version of the video about loving yourself. Because you may still have more, like creating videos is not easy. Like you may take a stab at it and not really like it and want to change it or whatever, but it feels like a very reasonable commitment and a really important piece to at least have the first vision, to sit down in front of the camera and hit record, take a deep breath, and do your first version of the video, like what you want to share with people about the importance of loving themselves. Can we do that by the end of the day on Sunday?
Yes.
I think that would be amazing. Like, I want to see the video. Anybody else besides me? Like, I want to see the video. That's a lesson I need to learn. Good. All right. And do you see how like narrowing it down, like, because those are big projects you're
Yes.
talking about. Like, yeah.
And I would love to see your video because I have to start doing short videos too. And
How much
It-
fun is that?
It's an exciting adventure. I've got that's my goal is to become a coach, and so that would be the outrageous thing.
Okay. All right. Well, there's only one way to get from minimum to outrageous, and that's like one little minimum at a time, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So I know everybody else wants to share theirs with the whole group, but I'm going to pause this. If you really want to share it with the whole group, you can type it in the chat. But I want to keep us on time because I know I've been torturing you with this whole cork thing. We got to make sure that we squeeze that in today too. So quick review, and I'm going to send you a worksheet with this 4-step process outlined on it. I didn't want to send it to you ahead of time because I wanted to reveal the process 1 step at a time for you, but I'll send you with the recording link to this call. I'll send you the worksheet that you can use. You can make copies of it or just print it out in multiples, whatever, but it'll take you through assess and then pick an area and then brainstorm what actions you can do and then create accountability. Now, it won't always be me who can hold you accountable, but we all have people in our life who we respect and we wouldn't want to tell them that we told them we were going to do something and we didn't do it. And we can ask them to hold us accountable. And one of the best ways to do that is to offer, if they would like to make it reciprocal and have you hold them accountable. Some people resist that, but if they're working on something, if they're making some change in their life and you want to create mutual accountability with them, it's a very powerful mechanism. It really, really is. When you have an accountability partner that you meet with on a regular basis, some people do this every day. Like they check in with their accountability partner every morning. Like, what are you working on today? What are the 3 most important things you're going to do? And, Caroline and I are accountability partners. I get on the phone with her in the morning and I say, here's the 3 things I'm committed to doing today, knowing darn well I'm going to be on the phone with her tomorrow morning, reporting on whether I did it or not. It's very powerful. It really, really is.
I've known of that technique for many years and I have never actually done it with an accountability.
Yeah, it's, even if you had somebody who was willing to do this with you, and maybe you guys can partner up even within the group. If you had someone who was willing to partner up with you and do a 30-day experiment and say either every day, Monday through Friday, or even if you did it once a week and said, like, what am I committed to doing this week? Monday morning, knowing we're going to talk again next Monday morning and I'm going to be telling you whether I did it or not. It's very, very powerful. And speaking of very, very powerful, does everyone have 2 wine corks? Yes, everybody? Okay, it's time. The moment we've been waiting for. I'm going to share with you, I told you I have 3 original pieces of content. One of them is dividing values into 2 separate categories. And another one is what I'm about to share with you with these 2 wine corks. And the actual skill I'm going to teach you with the wine corks is not original to me, but the learning behind it, like the message behind it, which is really the point of it, is unique to me. And this is, I actually learned this from a bartender in Los Angeles a very long time ago. And it's about mastery. It's about achieving mastery, like having our life. We talked about improving our life, like having our life, all these areas of our life that we've identified as our highest priorities, like having them going the way that we ideally want them to go. Okay. And we're going to mimic that feeling of mastery with these wine corks. All right. So are you with me? Maricel is maybe the only one who's, I don't know if she's able to do this or not, because her camera's off and she's on the run and everything. But we're going to start with the wine corks between our thumb and forefinger, just like this. All right. Can everybody show me the wine corks? You've all got them in the right place. Everybody's got it. Everybody. Okay. And then what you're going to do, this is a little hard with my microphone here, but you're going to take the corks and you're going to switch them from one hand to the other, just like that. Everybody got that? So you have that feeling of mastery, right? Like everybody start like this, and then you just take them apart like that. Everybody got it? You have that feeling of mastery?
No.
Okay.
Do it again.
I don't think I'm getting it right.
How many of you are
No.
having this experience? Anybody having this
Yes,
experience?
that's what I'm having.
Okay.
Yes.
So how does that feel? Give me some words to describe. So Robert gets up here and he talks about the importance of mastery and the power of this cork trick and the experience you're going to have in your body. And he goes like this and he takes them apart and then it looks really easy. And then you try it and it feels like this. Like, how does that feel?
Annoying. Annoying.
Annoying? What else?
I'm like, what did I do wrong?
What did I do
What am I
wrong?
doing wrong?
Okay. Okay.
Feel stuck.
Feel stuck.
How did he do that?
How did he do that? Like, it looks so easy when he did it, right? It's like when the IT guy comes into your office to fix something on your computer and he just goes, oh, you just go like this and you
No,
push this button
it's
and then you hit
what's
enter
the
and it's all
trick?
fine. And you're like, what happened there? Right? So this is kind of awkward and uncomfortable, right? And what do we want to do when things get awkward and uncomfortable?
I got it.
Stop.
Somebody got it? Did you get it? Wait a minute.
Struggle.
How'd you get it with 2 fingers? You got to get it with your thumb,
Oh,
your thumb and
Do something else. I want to do something else when I come across it.
so most people, like when someone comes in and they show them how to do something and it looks really easy and they try it themselves and then it's awkward and it's uncomfortable, most people want to quit. They want to give up, right? And
I
this
did.
is where, did you get it? Okay.
No, I
so,
said
so
I gave up.
you gave up. Okay.
I know.
So you're right where we want to be. Perfect. Everybody's giving up. What a great exercise this is, right? Teaching you how to give up. No.
Stuck.
So this bartender in Los Angeles showed me this. It's just a bar trick is what it really is, right? But given the work that I do, what I got was a very deep experience of like how this feels, like how it feels when someone shows you how to do something and it looks really easy for them, but then I try to do it myself the first time and it doesn't go well. And I can rationalize, everything's hard the first time, blah, blah, blah. But the reality is it sucks. Like it feels terrible. Like I felt it in my body, right? And
I
then
had a manager who would do that to me and to others regularly.
yeah. So, and it's just not helpful, right? So there's more to this. So now you're at this place where it's awkward, it's uncomfortable, you want to quit. But what we really want, I want you, like my role in this is to help you get to mastery, like with this metaphor, to help you get from here to being able to do it just like you saw me do it, like to take them apart from one hand to the other. So what do you need from me to take the next step? It's kind of like what we did with the implementation thing. Like, what's the next action we can take that would help you get from here to mastery? What would be the next step?
Instructions.
What's that,
Ask.
Sandra?
Instruction.
Instructions, like specifically what kind of instructions? I gave you instructions, right?
Ask for help.
Yeah, help.
I want to see you do. I'm visual. I want to.
You're visual. Okay, so you want to see it.
Did that.
Me
Okay.
too, but you have to go really slow.
Go slow.
Please.
So I'll tell you guys a little secret. Like I should probably turn off the recording, but I'll edit this out. So when I do this in a group, men and women respond very differently. So men, like they're like, throw the corks on the ground. That's a stupid trick. They can't make me do it, whatever, right? And the women say two things. They say, number one, do it slowly. And number two, they say, do it again. So this is kind of a metaphor for more than just like corks and stuff. Like do it slowly and do it again. This is what I learned that a lot of women really want more of in their life in one form or another. So anyway, so better instruction, right? It's really not that helpful for someone who's really good at something and really mastered something. Just say, oh, you just do this, right? It's easy, right? So let's try some better instruction, okay? And see how that works. So again, we're going to start like this. I need everybody like this. Corks are between your thumb and your forefinger. And what you're going to do is you're going to take your thumb from one hand and put it on the end of the cork that faces your palm. Thumb on the palm side. And then this other thumb has to come around so it's also on the palm side. both thumbs, there you go, Caroline. Thumbs are on the palm side.
That feels awkward.
It feels awkward. Yes, absolutely. That's the way it feels.
Oh.
And then it's usually helpful with your middle finger, reach down for one, reach up for the other, and they should come right apart.
I love it.
Okay, so I saw Stacy get it. I saw Susan. Did you get it?
Yes.
Did everyone get it at least once? So Maricela is
I
still
love
shaking her
it.
head. Okay, so let's do it again. Thumb on the palm, the end of the cork that faces your palm. Oops. Hold your corks up, Maricela, so I can see. Thumb on the palm side. So you're not on neither of your thumbs is on the palm side of the cork. So that's the palm side. Thumb on the palm side. Look at her go. She's out like in the middle of nowhere. She's staring into the sun. She is committed. Thumb on the palm side. Look at her face when she gets this. I want you all to see her face. So
Again,
thumb, that's not the
Yeah.
palm side.
Kind of twisted. Your hand is twisted.
Yeah, so
So each
all right,
thumb
so
is
start
on
like
the
this,
palm side of the other
and
one.
take your thumb and put it on the end of the cork that's facing your palm. There you go. Now, if there's a trick, this is it. You got to get the other thumb so it's also on the palm side. So twist your hands. It's actually easier if you kind of bring them in a little bit closer. Get.
Did I tell you? Did I tell
So
you? that I'm
am I
really
gonna have to
bad
am I
at
gonna have to
text?
drive all the way to Visalia to do like a one-on-one tutorial? So
Probably.
here's the trick. And Maricela, you may
But
be
then I
like
have them-
watching
I have
this
them like
on
this. I don't
video
have
at
them
home,
between my-
but if you go thumb on the palm side, and then you bring
Uh-huh.
that other thumb around, like this is the place you need to get to, is your thumbs are
gosh.
both on the palm side. And as soon as you get there, you just reach down for one and you reach up for the other one, and they'll come right apart. Right?
Okay, but I have them like
Oh, I
this.
did
don't
it!
have them
Oh,
between-
Michelle got it. Yeah. So there's a couple things going on. So Michelle just demonstrated this beautifully, right? Like, so some people I show this to, almost nobody gets it. Like when I show it to them, I set it up with this whole mastery, and you're going to experience mastery, and they think it's going to be really easy. And then they go, oh shit, like it's not as easy as I thought. And then their head starts going, right? Like we all start talking to ourselves. I'm not good at games. My mother was right. I never should have joined this class. Now I'm humiliated, blah, blah, blah. We do. We say whatever we say, right? But
Very
the truth
similar,
is,
yes.
what if we just stayed curious? Like, oh, isn't that interesting? That didn't go the way I thought. Like, I only have so many fingers. There's only so many ends of the cork. Like, we could probably figure it out. But we usually start going into some crazy self-talk that just makes it harder, especially when other people are watching, right? Like when I do this with a live
Yes.
group and other people are watching, like, oh my God, people freak out, right?
You can say that again, Robert. That's one of the reasons why I turn off my video a lot of the time.
Yeah. So you got to this place called it's awkward, it's uncomfortable. And now most of you have done it at least once. Would you say that you have mastered it?
Yes.
Stacy's a reluctant yes.
No, yes.
Yeah.
I can do that, but I end up like this. I don't end up like this.
No, you're not supposed to. You
you're
start
only
like this.
supposed to-
Yeah,
You're
right.
only
And you
supposed to
end up like this.
Oh, then
Yeah.
that's fine. Oh,
Okay.
then I got it. As soon as you showed thumb on the inside.
Yeah, as soon as you get your thumbs to that spot, it feels weird.
as you get your
It seems
thumbs,
like
yeah,
awkward,
yeah.
but as soon as you get your like, if there's one thing to remember,
That's the trick.
thumbs on the palm side. If you get your thumbs on the palm side of the cork, they will just come right apart.
Exactly.
Right.
That
And
as
Michelle,
soon as-
I love it. Did you all see Michelle's face when she got it? Like it was a little harder for her. She tried several times. She like trying to figure out what I'm doing. And normally when I'm doing this with a group of people, and maybe this is the same on video, your brain is having to reverse it. Cause like if you were in the audience and I was on stage, everything that's on my right side is on your left side, and you have to kind of reverse it. And that makes it even harder.
Yeah.
And
Well-
when people in the group are having a hard time, I'll bring a couple on the stage and they stand right next to me, and then they can just mimic my exact motions, and it's a little bit easier. So
Well,
you've got me making it look really easy, and it's not. You've got other people watching, and you've got your brain reversing everything. So that's why when I do this with a group of people, unless they've seen it before, almost nobody, like it is a freak of nature when somebody gets this. I could be doing this with a group of 200 people. If 1 or 2 people got it, that would be a lot. Most people, it's right here
I understand why they wouldn't get it, but
every time.
what I found, it was much easier to not look at what you were doing, but simply listen to what you said. Because as soon as you said thumb on the palm side, as soon as I got both thumbs on the palm side, it was easy.
Yeah, that's absolutely. If there's a
That's
trick,
the
and there
trick.
isn't a trick, like it's not magic, it's not sleight of
No,
hand, it's
no,
just
but
a matter
it's-
of getting your
Okay,
hands
it's
in the right place.
insight. It's
Right.
the, once you have the thumb on
Yeah.
on the palm side, then you just reach over and
Yeah.
that makes perfect sense. So that's what I call the trick. It's the
So here's why I wanted to share this with you guys, and why it's relevant to the work that we're doing, is because, you know, I've been deeply immersed in this whole values conversation, and I've come up with this strategy for dividing values into 2 categories, and I've been doing it for years myself. And it's very second nature for me. Like it's very comfortable for me. And for most of you, it's new. And what I asked you to do with the corks was also new. And what I got when that bartender showed me the trick, and he didn't tell me for like 40 minutes, like how to do it. I was like, you know, total guy response, like, oh, I can figure it out. No, don't tell me. I don't want to see. I can figure it out. I know I can do this. And the harder I tried, let's just try harder, right? Like, no, it's a really bad idea. So what I realized is if you want to get from here to mastery, there's actually 4 things you need to do. And if we were all together and I was giving you, I have business corks. I have corks with my company name and my website and my toll-free number all printed. You've met people with business cards, but I'm probably the only person you've ever known who has business corks, because I do this all the time. And there's 4 things printed on here that I believe people need to do if they want to get from like awkward, uncomfortable, trying something for the first time, it didn't go very well, to mastery. And the first thing is you need to be willing to try something new, right? So I asked you guys all to go find 2 wine corks and bring them to the next call, and you all did it. Like you were all willing to do this, right? Nobody said, "Oh, wine corks. I don't know. That sounds pretty sketchy to me. I don't think I'm ready for that." You were all willing to try something new. So high five, points for everyone in the group. The second thing you have to be willing to do to achieve mastery is you have to be willing to be uncomfortable. I made you uncomfortable, right? I showed you something, it looked really easy. You tried it yourself, it wasn't so easy, and it was uncomfortable. Like you said, it was awkward, it was uncomfortable. It was, you know, people tell me I feel stupid or whatever. Like I made you uncomfortable. But here's the thing, like that's just part of the process, right? Like when we're trying something new, when we're doing something for the first time, it's awkward, it's uncomfortable. It's just the way it works. So in order to get to where we want to go, in order to really live a life in alignment with our highest values in this case, there's going to be some times of uncomfortable. Like we need to be willing to be uncomfortable. And someone already shared, like the third thing that we need to be willing to do is ask for help. Right? Now, could you have figured this out on your own? If I didn't give you better instruction, if I just showed you how to do it, could you have figured it out on your own?
Possibly.
I see some serious
Possibly.
maybes in this group.
I would have, you know.
Eventually,
No.
here's the
Well,
thing.
no. I would have looked for the trick. I would have looked to find the trick from someone else. Because
YouTube.
I don't.
I'm sure it's on YouTube
I hate
somewhere.
Rubik's cubes. I hate those sort of things.
Yeah. So here's the thing that I would propose to you is all of you could have. Like, again, you only have so many fingers. You only have so many ends of the cork, like trial and error, given enough time. Every single one of you is fully capable. This is not that complicated. You could have figured it out. And again, I made it intentionally more difficult by making it look easy, by having it reversed in your head, and by being in an environment where other people are watching. It makes it more difficult and less likely that you're actually going to be able to just mimic what I do and get it right away. But is it quicker to master something like this, or hopefully something more important in your life? Like, you know, this is what I chose to master in my life, but hopefully you'll do better than that. Is it quicker and easier if you get help from other people who have already done it, who know the secret, who, you know, have achieved it before?
That's how I learned glass.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
I
how we
didn't
learn
do it on my
anything,
own.
right? It's how we learn anything. Well, not always how we learn anything, but it's the secret to learning like quickly and easily is get help from other people who have done it before or who know like how it works. So be willing to try something new, be willing to be uncomfortable, be willing to ask for help. And then the final one is like, why is it so easy for me? You notice I don't even look at the corks. Like I just, it's hard for me actually, I actually have to think about it to do it this way. Like to get here, I have to like really think about it and be intentional. But why is it so easy for me?
Practice.
Practice.
No, I live in Sonoma.
It's
Come on, you
become-
guys.
It's become instinctive.
Yes, exactly. It's practice. I don't even know how many millions of times at this point, because this is like a trademark thing for me. Like I feel like the message in it and like the physiological experience that I had the first time I was here, and I felt it in my body, and just the feeling of actually doing it is like so easy and effortless and whatever. It's like a perfect metaphor for just getting really good at something. It's just comfortable. It's easy. I don't have to think about it anymore. It's kind of like driving. Do you remember the first time you tried to drive a car? One of your parents was sitting there staring at you, and it looked so easy when they did it. And then all of a sudden the car's like lurching and like veering, and like, I don't understand how it's really
learned
like
to drive
awkward
on a
and
clutch.
uncomfortable. Yeah, and then if it was a
Really
clutch, it's like 10 times worse. And now we're like
Yeah.
steering with our knee and drinking coffee and changing the radio station and talking on our phone while we drive, right? Because it's just easy and comfortable.
Did you say steering with your knee?
Yeah, I'm one of the great knee steerers of all time. Do you guys not steer with your knee?
Oh,
No.
I've done it.
It helps to have long legs to do that.
My
but
partner does sometimes. Not sure
Yeah.
it's
I don't recommend. I'm gonna have to do some serious editing of this video.
Is
I gotta
that
edit
after
that
you-
out too.
Is that after you drink the Sonoma wine?
No, never. Never.
I stopped eating in the car when I in my 20s when I dinged my car because I was trying to eat a hamburger at the same time. Not a good idea.
So what I wish I had done, if I had it to do over again, what I wish I had done is I wish I had sent you all with your book. When I sent you a book, I wish I had just stuck 2 wine corks in there, like the business corks. And I'm sorry, I didn't. Like, this is, you know, constant, never ending improvement. This is like the improvement that's going to be for the next group. But I would encourage you, like when I do this with groups and then I meet people years later and they say, oh, you know what? I still have those corks you gave me. And the reason they still have them is because they want to remember, one, it's fun to torment people with this trick, right? So my wife and I go out to dinner, there's a couple bottles of wine, all of a sudden there's 2 corks on the table and I start like, oh, I can't not, like, and I start showing this to people and they try and do it, the whole thing. But the real reason I think people save them is because they remember the try something new, be uncomfortable, ask for help, and just keep going, be persistent, keep practicing until it gets comfortable, until it's easy. And it really is the process with this values work. You know, I talked about how the clarification process is ongoing. You know, we're going to get more and more comfortable with it. And hopefully not that far down the road, you know, if someone were to ask you, here's my dream, is that if someone were to ask any of you in a month, like, what are your highest values? You would say, well, let me tell you, I not only know what my highest values are, but I've divided them into 2 separate categories. And I have the category number 1 is my priorities, and they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And my ways of being, the way I want to show up in the world, are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And these people are like, whoa, like, because what do most people say? If you stop them on the street corner and say, can you tell me what your highest values are? What would most people say?
Get out of my way.
Crazy
Here are the
person,
headlines.
leave me alone. Yeah. Most people don't know. Since I've really started doing this values work, it is mind-boggling to me. Like even at these groups I was telling you about, the Transformational Leadership Council, the Association of Transformational Leaders, I started sharing with them how excited I am. I got this whole new focus of my work, and I'm working with people to clarify their values, and it's so important, and it's so life-changing. It makes all the difference in the world for people. They're creating the life they really want because now they know what they really want. And the people in the group are looking at me like, I hope he doesn't ask me what my values are because I can't articulate. Most people, even in a group like that,
Robert,
cannot articulate what their highest
Robert,
values are.
you need to talk to Marcy Scheimoff, because at the first month of Year of Miracles, when everybody's focused on developing their theme and 3 intentions for the year, they need help on sharing people how to do this. Your program, you've got it's written, Marcy Scheimoff's at the top, right?
Yeah, Marcy did a testimonial right on the cover of my book.
But I know she did a testimonial, but is she using, I haven't noticed, I'm in the second year of Year of Miracles, I haven't noticed she's using it in her course.
Gotta pay him.
I don't know, but that's how I ended up doing the bonus with Deborah,
Yeah.
was for that exact reason. Like, not just because, you know, it's interesting and entertaining, but it's
No.
directly relevant to everything else
Exactly.
she's teaching. Like,
Oh.
people, you all will get more out of everything else she's doing if you go into it with clarity about what is most important to you, because that'll become your
Yeah.
filter. Yeah. So that's why I wanted to share the cork trick with you.
Can you
Love
share
it.
your cork? Can we see it?
But
I've never
you-
seen a cork as a business card.
This is actually an old one. So my first book was called Manifesting for Non-Gurus,
Oh,
which
okay.
I learned is a really clever title, but a horrible brand. And it says attracting lasting results quickly and easily. And then there's my name and the toll-free number and the website. And what else is on there? Oh, there's 2 websites, actually. I was working on another project of music. Like, I always have all these projects going on. I started a project where we were sending out a positive song every day for people to listen to.
Oh, okay.
It was like, one of my taglines is, you're ahead of your time. Like, if I had $1 for everyone who told me you're ahead of your time, I'd be rich. But anyway, the world wasn't ready for what we call daily upbeats.
well, they used to have a joke line or something, so why not a song
Oh.
line?
Yeah, I mean, the power of music, it was a great idea.
Yeah.
I'm full of great ideas, but they don't always work out. And that's the nature of ideas, whatever.
Can I share a short story about mastery that
Well,
follows on-
you
I mean,
can,
but you don't have time.
but I'm going to say a couple things first, because I don't know if we have people, like, so it's 5:27 here, and I want to make sure just a couple of quick things to wrap up today. And then again, I'll hang around. I don't have anywhere else I have to go. So you can, if people have to leave right at the bottom of the hour, I want a couple things I want to share. One is, I told you I'm going to send out that worksheet. So keep your eye out. The email that comes out with the recording of this call will also have the worksheet attached to it. The homework is the accountability piece, to share with me. And again, I'll put this in the email, share with me what you're committed to doing by the end of the day on Sunday. And then we'll check back and see how that went. And then the final thing, which I told you about at the beginning, like the bonus, because I'm having so much fun interacting with you guys, the schedule that we originally put in place was that our final call was going to be, I think it's the 24th of July. It's 4 weeks from today.
Yeah.
So there's 3 off weeks, which is the 3rd, the 10th, and the 17th, and then we're getting together on the 24th. But here's what I'm going to do, and I'll send you email reminders, but we are going to do just an open call on the 10th. So next week we will not have a call, and then we'll just have like an open call. Just if people have questions, if there's something you want to share, if you want to clarify something, whatever, if you just want to connect with the group and hang out and have fun, whatever. But we will do a call during the same time frame, starting at 4 o'clock Pacific time on the 10th,
On the 10th.
just as an extra call, because I want to keep hanging out with you guys. And I do want to continue this process of clarifying and trying this implementation process and putting it out there and being uncomfortable and trying something new and seeing if it works and all that. And I want to support you as much as I can in doing that. So we're just going to put that call on the calendar. There's not going to be like a lesson or whatever. It's going to be driven by whatever you all bring to the call as far as questions or stories or anything you want to share. Okay. So it's optional. You don't have to be there. And then 2 weeks later, we'll do our final wrap up call. Okay. So, and all that'll be in the email that I send out at the end of today. All right. 5:29. Boom. Love it when that happens. It doesn't always work that way. So now you have a choice. If you have to go, we understand. if Caroline has piqued your curiosity and you can't wait to hear the short story that she wanted to share, Caroline, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Robert. As soon as you started talking about mastery, I was like, oh my God. When I was 9 years old, my mother's Austrian and we were living in Austria. I went from being a totally snowplow rank beginner skier in a matter of weeks from that to an expert skier because I was skiing 6 days a week for 2 months. And I went through exactly those processes. I was willing to try something new.
Try something new.
And but the
Very uncomfortable.
I was extremely uncomfortable. I remember now.
Try learning to ski when you're older. That's really uncomfortable.
I know. Well, I've taught adults and kids skiing, but I was so unhappy. I was crying because I couldn't make my skis do what I wanted. I remember this now. I was so unhappy I was crying. But what I figured out, and nobody told me, I just figured this out. I would go right by, I was in ski school every day. I went right behind the instructor. Not the other, I'd go right behind the instructor and do everything she did. And I learned, and I went from snow plowing to vadaling in 3 or 4 weeks.
Vadaling?
Then I could ski down any mountain.
I have not heard that. I have not heard that word in so long.
Oh,
vadaling.
Yeah. Well, again,
no,
and
time ago. Yeah, it's a perfect, that's how it works, right? If we look at anything we've learned, again, driving a car, learning how to walk, like cooking a new recipe, like whatever it is, like try something new, be uncomfortable, ask for help, and just keep doing it. Like if there's another path, let me know. But as far as I can tell, some version of that is always the way to get from awkward and uncomfortable. I don't want to do it. It's out of my comfort zone. Goes all the way back to that change paradox model that we started with in chapter 1 of the book. Like the things people don't do because it makes them uncomfortable. But and again, thank you for sharing the story because it reminds me like how much it connects back to values. Like if there's something you want to do and it's on that top 5 priorities
I wanted
list,
to do that.
then it's worth going through the discomfort. It's worth asking for help. It's worth continuing to gain mastery in those areas of our life that we've identified, each one of us, and it's different for all of us. Like I decided this is what's important to me. So it's worth trying something new. It's worth being uncomfortable. It's worth asking for help, and it's worth practice to get there.
I have to go.
All right.
Well, thank you so much for everything.
Maricela gets the most committed award for the day.
I'll make sure a little bit more next time.
Okay. So we'll see everyone. We'll see everyone in 2 weeks.
Bye.
So Robert, are you going to where to email you tonight what our commitment is and then email you Sunday?
So what I'm going to do is as soon as the recording is uploaded into the Dropbox, I will send you all an email reminding you of the location of the Dropbox, requesting that commitment, and sending you that worksheet.
Got it. And so we'll reply to that with what we're committing to.
And I hope everyone will send me what their commitment is. And then on Sunday, I'll send you a reminder.
Yes, thank you.
To let me know how it went.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right, everyone. Talk to you in 2 weeks or sooner. And the hummingbirds, God, the hummingbirds are still going crazy out there.
Oh, that's nice. We can't
Thank
hear
you.
Got to be symbolic of something.
Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.